Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. Today I'm going to work on a brand new project. I saw on excuse me, on my Facebook page that there is a some sort of fundraiser going on with art for a local cat shelter, no-kill cat shelter. And I was considering entering, and my husband was like, "You can do this. This is perfect for you." So I'm going to try my best to get something done, something new, because nearly all of my art is packed up, and there's not really anything in particular I could think of that I've already done that I thought could attract people. What the fundraiser is... Ooh, hit my desk. I don't know why it has this little shelf down here. I almost hit my knees on it. Anyway, the fundraiser works. They're looking for, I don't know, 20 or something pieces of art, and they want to display the art, not necessarily sell it unless the artist wishes to, but the art will be on sale, and then at the fundraiser or benefit or whatever it is, people can buy tokens to vote for the art, and then, you know, one piece wins or whatever. But the whole point is getting people to buy the tokens, because that is where the money is going to come from to go to the shelter. And so it's like you don't really have to worry about, as an artist, winning this. It's like, that's just the fun part of it. The thing that's important is to make something that gets people to want to vote for it. So that's what I was trying to think of. And my husband actually helped me come up with this idea. He thought of something that could be great, but it would end up much too complex to get it done in just 2 days. Especially since the only way I'm going to be able to get something done is to work in the smaller format. So it evolved from this idea, and I liked the idea of the yarn ball, where I hadn't thought of that, but that's that's a classic thing to associate cats with. So I just started thinking, what can I do that's like super simple, but still going to be colorful, still going to pop, going to catch people's attention. So this was my first sketch. This is the one I'm going to try to imitate for the actual size sketch. And it's just going to be a white cat, as I've noted here, surrounded by huge yarn balls, and they're all going to be like a rainbow of yarn balls. And so I kind of titled it Dreamland, because one, the cat's sleeping, so the cat's in Dreamland because it's sleeping, but it's also Dreamland because it's a place where it's just nothing but yarn balls to play with. So this will be nice and simple. It will take plenty of work still to get it done, but since it's so simple, I don't really need to look up reference images. I've drawn so many cats that I'm just going to draw a sort of generic cat, which I think is fine. And I'm not sure if I'm going to give it chibi proportions. I'm liking the proportions I've got here, where it's about the same size and roundness as the yarn balls around it. So it also kind of fits into this repetition of circles, because the cat itself is another round little fluffy circle. But I'll probably give it, it'll be really stylized. It won't be super realistic, because I need to keep it simplified in order to get it done in time. Basically, it's due on Friday. That's according to the Facebook post. They're not actually holding the event until April 5th, so that's a couple weeks away. Or, yeah, that's at least a couple weeks away, because my birthday is a couple weeks away, and my birthday comes before that. So today I'm just hoping to get this sketch done on this sketchbook. What I want to do, I've got this older drawing. This is just a sketch and a tracing sheet. I'm going to use it to measure out the size it needs to be, because the paper I'm going to use is, I'm going to use marker paper. Markers have been what I've worked with recently because they're really easy. I was considering doing watercolor because that's really nice and bright, but it takes a lot more room on my workspace, and like what you see is pretty much my workspace. I have maybe, you know, 1 square foot more, but it's really not much. And so keeping it to the markers will allow me to get this done while still working on this small space, working within this small space. And then another benefit of the marker paper is that it's similar to tracing paper, even though it is not nearly as like flimsy and low quality. It's a nice high quality paper, but you can see through it, so I can trace it, so I don't need my light table, which I don't have access to right now. Or, well, I technically have the glass top, but it would be such a pain to get it out. Just like trying to use watercolors, it's like, sure, technically I could find a way to make it work, but the easier it is, these logistic things, the better my art will turn out, I'm sure. So I don't know if I'll get to this today. If I do, I've got it off to the side so I can grab it. But to begin with, I'm going to use this little, and this reminded me, I've done a whole bunch of drawings using this cool pad of paper. This is like an aside. This doesn't have to do with this drawing, other than I'm using this for sizing. But I need to remember to finish all these cool drawings I've done. This pad of paper is super cool. I don't have the pad over here. I just wanted this for size, so I just got it out of the pad. But it comes with 3 different types of paper, printed one after the other. So it comes with tracing paper, drawing paper, or sketch paper, and drawing paper. And maybe they're in a different order. But it's super cool because what you do is, it's basically what I'm going to be doing for this piece. But it's all packaged into one pad of paper, so they're all the same size, so you know they're going to work together or whatever. So you draw the picture first, you know, sketch it out, so it doesn't have to be perfect or anything. It can be messy. You can use any hardness of pencil because you don't have to worry about erasing. Then you take the tracing paper, and see what I've done is made it so that I have not detached the tracing paper from the sketch paper, because it makes it super easy to keep stuff together. Then you draw it again, and I like to draw it with pen, so you trace it with pen so that the lines are nice and bold. And then you do graphite on the back, and you only really need it where the pen lines are, so just do a nice even application of graphite where the lines are. Make sure that, you know, they go outside the lines. And then you slip your final piece of paper in between these, and then you just go over these again with a stylus or with a pencil or with another pen, and you just go over the lines again. And what happens is that the pressure put onto this page and onto the graphite on the back transfers those lines onto your final drawing paper. And then on your final drawing paper you just ink it again, and more nice. Like, you might not be able to tell, but this is just a really simple ink job. I didn't try to get line weight or anything like that. I didn't try to like feather it to a nice even tapered tip or anything. Just flat lines. You just wait until the very end to do all that cool stuff, and then there's no erasing, so you're not erasing your ink away. You're not getting those faded lines or whatever. It's just super good. But today I'm just using this page because I wanted it for sizing. So I just started this sketchbook. This is page number 1. So since I'm left-handed, I started doing on the back of the page. Usually I do this, so it doesn't matter which hand. But I was brainstorming, so it was easier to write like this. So I want to make sure when I flip the page, I'm still working on the back. So all I wanted this for is to get it to size, because I've learned, like relatively recently, like the past 2 or 3 years, that it's so much easier if you just choose a size that is smaller than the final paper you're actually going to work on. Because then that way you don't get that, you know, thing where you go off the edge and then it's like really bold right here along the edge and you're like unhappy with it or something. Or you go to frame it and you're like, oh, you didn't think about it, and the frame covers up a big amount. And so if you just think of that ahead of time and choose a size that's larger than what you need, then you don't have to worry about this, you know, bumping and go over the edge. And you can draw outside of your line, and it's okay to do that. But then this way, you know, if your frame doesn't fit, you can always crop away the extra, but still leave a little white and everything. So that's what I'm doing here. I just realized I want a pen because I don't want to erase that away. So hold on a second. Ooh, in fact, I want my gray ink pens. I'll be right back. That's going to take a little longer. I'm back. I also remembered I need a ruler, not for tracing the edges of this paper, but for the next step. It's been a little while since I've done a piece like this where it matters, the placement matters, because I'm going to frame it. So first I'm just going to do, it really does, this outline doesn't matter that much, it's just about the size, so it doesn't have to be perfect or anything. Doesn't have to meet at the corners or anything. It can be all wobbly. Just about size. Okay, now I'm done with this guy. He never thought he'd see the light of day again. Okay, so what we have here is, this is the size that the final piece is going to be. And so I'm going to be working on marker paper that is pretty much the same size, but it's going to be inside, like, I don't know, this is like 1.5 inches maybe, inside of the edges, so that when I put a frame on it, and I picked a relatively standard size, I'm pretty sure I'll just be able to go to Michael's and buy a frame. Because I definitely want to frame art if it's going to be out. I don't want it to... This charity event is going to be at a local craft brewery. So people are going to be drinking. And I don't want anything to happen. So just need a simple frame for it. So choosing a relatively common size. And then that way, even if it doesn't technically fit in the frame, like there's not enough room, I can still trim the edges of the paper away without having the frame cover too much of the actual drawing. I'm sure I'm going to need it to cover just a little bit, so because you know, with frames the picture shifts inside, especially if you don't have it properly mounted like by a professional framer, or if you have the professional equipment yourself, which I don't. I'm sure you can hear Kiba again. He just doesn't understand why I talk to myself for 2 hours in the middle of the day. I think he comes over here to check on me. Okay, so that being explained, next thing I'm going to do is, so in this picture, You might not be able to tell, but I drew guidelines. And this is not to scale or anything. This is just the most simple thumbnail sketch. But I was going to do the golden ratio. I believe this is the golden ratio. Well, anyway, it's my favorite. And so I need to measure this. And I need to divide it. And luckily it's 6 by 9, so they're both divisible really simply into 3. So 3 inches and 6 inches. And what I found is you should do the top too, because if you only do the bottom, you can do the line up crooked and you won't realize it. Like it won't be like this, you know. You'll think it's straight, and then you take the ruler away and it's like, oh. So 3 inches, 6 inches, and that way you can just connect the dots. Do the same thing over here. Since it's 6, I can do 2 inches and 4 inches. And doing this in this gray ink, like I got this gray ink from an Art Snacks box. I've never bought gray ink in a pen like this before, but once I found use for it, specific use for it in my style of art, my normal style that I like to do, it's not even style, my normal process. It's like once these run out, unlike other Art Snack supplies where I'm like, oh, this is cool, but you know, I'd never buy one. These I am going to buy when these run out. I am going to have them because they're so useful. They're great for, I mean, they're great for a lot of things, but I guess I'll just talk about what I'm doing here. So by doing this in ink rather than pencil, for one, it doesn't get erased away if you're erasing while sketching, because I'm a big eraser. I love working that way. I love just getting it all down first and then tweaking it until I think it's perfect, or until I think it's good enough. That's a better word. So doing it in ink, I can erase as many times as I want and they won't go away. But what's extra special about the gray ink is that this has the same color as a graphite pencil. It's not distracting, which is really important because these are just guidelines. They're not supposed to be, you know, you're definitely not going to see them in the final piece. They're just so that I can do visual placement, do my composition, and understand where I'm putting things. Because if you just sort of randomly draw stuff, it'll never look as good as if as when you put this amount of effort into it. That's what I figured out through my years of working on stuff and trying to do more and more detailed things and trying to really think about it and do not just, you know, drawings, but illustrations. And like, this is absolutely necessary, and it's works really well with my personality too, because I'm super hyper organized, obsessive personality, and it's great for me. I just do this step 1, step 2, whatever. The creativity really comes in following the steps, which I don't think is what a lot of people think about creativity. They think creativity is just this like wild flow that is uncontrollable and, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'm sure it is for some people, but not for me. I really need the organization to let my creativity out. This is stuff that I learned from university. Even though I didn't graduate, though my school of choice, Boise State, is getting a whole new art facility, and it's going to be epic. So I plan to go back and finish my degree once that's all done. They're even building it right on my favorite parking lot when I was going to school there before. So it's like, it kind of feels like fate or something. So let's see. So I've drawn it like this, but I already think, you know what, I need to open the windows. It's kind of warm in here. Hold on a second. I'm back. I turned on the overhead fan too. I don't know, I feel really ganky right now, so I think it's making me hot. It must be from my... So for one, I went back to... I skipped another couple days at the gym, so I finally went back today. I want to go every day, dang it, every weekday. But, it was body combat class, which is kind of like mixed martial arts inspired cardio. I think that's the best way to explain it. You know, they've got boxing moves, a little bit of Tai Chi, karate, you know, all kinds of stuff mixed in there. And just today I was like, I haven't been coming out sore from this class recently. And it was weird because I think I just got used to body combat making me sore kind of by default, because that's how it's been from the beginning. Every time I went into body combat, it was like I was guaranteed to come out at least a few hours later, or sometimes the next day, but always like just dead sore, especially in my upper body from all the punching and stuff. But I realized recently that hasn't been happening, and I think what happened is my body finally caught up to what my mind thought I should be able to do, because it always felt like I could do it, and I think that's why I tried so hard and then I got super sore. And I want a smaller eraser than this. Hold on a second. My favorite tiny little clicky eraser. Okay, that's what I was saying. I think that pushing myself really hard in that class today, I mean, I skipped 2 workouts this week, and there was a little bit of, you know, excuse because I ran a 5K race, but I wasn't terribly sore from that or anything, so I didn't beat my best time or anything. So I finally went back and I pushed myself super hard, tried to punch and kick really hard, try to have really good form, because if you have good form, it works your muscles even harder. And then, so I came home and I was actually feeling really ganky, kind of like now. But then it hit me so hard, I was suddenly so tired. I think it's because that naughty little Kibi was keeping me awake. He likes to meow all night long, and so I was like, I can't do this, I gotta take a nap. So I took a nap right before this stream, set an alarm so I'd be able to get up and get everything ready. So I actually think it's a combination of doing that workout and then getting a nap in. So now I have like tons of energy. There. Yeah, this is what I wanted. So these triangles are supposed to be big fluffs. I'm kind of inspired by my cat Bear, who has these big fluffs that does this, but I'm like exaggerating them. I mean, I'll make them look fluffy, but I'm really exaggerating how pointy they are. So this whole cat is going to be really stylized, and that's the whole point of stylization, I think, is to exaggerate what the artist likes exaggerating, or at least focusing on. Oh man, I don't know if you can hear it, probably not, but it's breezy outside, and I love, there's this big evergreen tree, I'm not sure what kind it is. This big evergreen tree right outside the window in this room, and the breeze through the needles is just, it's one of my favorite sounds in the world. I love this. It reminds me of camping. Just love the sound of wind through evergreen trees. And it's cooling down nicely in here. And I'm usually really cold, so it was super hot in here. If I am super hot and like dripping sweat, that's saying something. And I checked the thermostat, it wasn't turned up very high. Relatively. Okay, what now? Okay. So I wanted this kitty to have nice little sleeping eyes. So I'm not going to be able to show off my pretty eye skills, anime-inspired eyes, but that's okay. The point is this is a kitty in Dreamland, so drawing some nice eyes, sleeping. Alright, one of them is poking up higher than the other one. Come on, eraser. I'm gonna drink water. It's the same water I drink my chocolate milk from for my morning snack. It tastes like chocolate milk water. It sounds gross, but it's actually quite nice because it's super good chocolate milk, so even diluted, it's like delicious. Chocolate milk is my favorite drink, and I am including alcoholic drinks. I just love chocolate milk so much. Until the local milk delivery service that I subscribed to many years ago, until I started getting chocolate milk from them, I just always kept a big thing of Nesquik powder on hand, just always. But now this stuff is so good, I don't really want the Nesquik powder. This stuff is freaking good. It's better than the top of the line chocolate milk you can get in the grocery store. Like the super expensive, like, I guess technically this is more expensive, but in my experience there's actually a good reason why stuff is more expensive. It's usually because it's better. It's like with art supplies, with beauty supplies, and with food. Okay, even though this is simplified, I always love this little how cats' ears have these little flaps at the bottom. I always love that. Once I noticed it, just always want to include that. So even though it's simplified, I'm gonna keep it there. Now let's add some little fluffies, little fluffs. This is good for now. I gotta square off. I've been drawing so many cats, like over my life and recently. I'm extremely confident in my cat noses. I know what cat noses look like. Or at least I know them well enough that I can draw them without a reference image. In a stylized version, anyway. So I don't think I mentioned, but the reason why I'm going to make this a white cat is because with all the, I'm looking at the thumbnail sketch, I've got its body going all the way up here and ending here. Okay. My idea is that by doing a completely white cat with no stripes or spots or anything, it will be able to really stand out among all these colorful, vibrant yarn balls that I intend to make. It looks like a little dumpling. Looks like a little dango. Little kitty dongle. I can use this one. It's maybe another reason I feel so invigorated right now is that it feels really great to have a new sketchbook finally. A new main sketchbook. I actually have tons of sketchbooks going all at once, but this size is like my default that I like to carry around even though it's big and everything, and I love these like coils like this. The only thing that this one doesn't have that my previous one had is perforated pages. Perforated? Anyway, that's the one thing it doesn't have, but I can deal with that easy. Just, you know, just take a razor to this and cut it right out. Just use a ruler and you'll get a nice hard thing. Although I won't have to do it for this one, but okay. So maybe I'll make this a little bit more round right there. I don't know if it's because it's spring or what, I just feel invigorated. Sort of like yesterday was the vernal equinox. Today's the first full day of spring. I started my day off with a spring donut too. Krispy Kreme was giving away free spring themed donuts to people who participate in their like membership rewards thing. Like, heck yeah, I'm on that. I skipped my hydro massage in order to have time to go get a donut instead. Okay, I'm not sure if I want to do any lines here on the body. The reason why I'm thinking about it is because the way cats, so this would be where the leg is, right here, and then there'd be, you know, tail, but those lines aren't going to really lead anywhere. So like if you follow this line down here, where is that pointing you? It's not really pointing you to anything, because it's really important to pay attention to where your lines are pointing. So like these lines, they're sort of like, especially this one is like following the head, and this one's not doing it as much, but I think it's perfectly fine because it gives it that sense of how when cats lay, and instead of their head being up like this, or let me show it, it's up like this, you know, and this is their eyes and nose and whatever, and they just like, they're able to, like, we can't do that as humans. Like, they can just, I can't even explain it. It's amazing. And that's the look I'm going for. How they convert their head from this to, like, I don't know. How they lay their chin as flat as their neck, and they just sleep like that. That's what I'm trying to get here. And I think this gives that, because if it came down here, it wouldn't look like there's room for that chin laying to be happening. But by adding, you know, just a line here for the tail or something, it's not really pointing anywhere. It's sort of, it would be cutting the head off, and it would be reinforcing this line, which, like I said, doesn't work as well as this one, but has its purpose. But it would be reinforcing the, you know, the visual of just cutting the head off and like leaving it. So I'm wondering if I should even draw anything at all. Since it's a white cat, I could do, you know, shading with the markers once I get to that point, to show the leg and the tail and everything, to show the lines, because sometimes even, you know, fluffy cats, their fluff makes it almost impossible to see that stuff anyway. So I think I will just, because I was going to ink it in black like usual. I'm just going to do my usual inking style. Actually, this reminded me, since the face is so fluffy, I wanted to make sure that the kitty looks fluffy. I don't know if I like this though. I think I want it further down. Yeah, that's kind of what I had in this sketch. Drew a couple little triangles right there. I'll also do some here where the tail comes out, because I just know that's where there would be extra fluffs. Extra fluffs. Man, it is so... feels so nice now. I open the window wide. Got the fan going. It's breezy outside, and I can... the sound of the fan and the sound of the breeze in the trees is just nice. Okay. I don't think there's any major anatomical feature that I want to do with ink. So I will do like whiskers and stuff, but since it's a white cat, it's going to have white whiskers. So I was going to do those with, I mean, maybe I'll use gray ink at the end for these little whiskers that come off the top of their heads. Since you might not be able to see them. But who knows, maybe with the shading, you can still see them with white ink. So the next thing I wanted to do is these yarn balls. Just gotta basically fill the page up with them. But I'm not... I keep looking. I don't want to do them just totally randomly. So when I sketched this little thumbnail, I actually had a little bit of a plan in mind. Like I wanted them... oh, this is an awful circle. Come on. I wanted them to get close to the kitty so there wouldn't be really any extra, or there would be hardly any extra space. Extra blank space. I want it to just be a wonderland. A wonderland of yarn balls. Since they're yarn balls, they don't have to be perfectly circular, because you know, yarn is like lumpy when you roll it up on top of itself. And this one pretty much follows this line here. So let's start here actually. And right now I'm just drawing the circles because yarn balls are not like bouncy balls where it's a solid thing. It's actually, you know, strings and strings and strings, and that's going to take up a little bit of time here. Just drawing all those strings. There's another one here taking up this space. That's good too. It's not perfectly on the line, but kind of matches with this kitty head. In fact, maybe if I just cover the kitty and then this would show. If I cover the kitty, not the face, just some of the body, then that would give the sense that these yarn balls are in front of the kitty and the kitty is among the yarn balls, and they're not just, you know, underneath, or it'll give a definite sense of place. When it's a world of yarn balls, there's not really much for reference. Except for they're going to get smaller as it gets into the distance. That's about it. Especially when I want to make them all different colors and such. So it's going to be hard to compare them. I think I'm going to do like, maybe follow the rainbow. So like if this one's red, this one will be orange. This one will be yellow, green, and then maybe red, orange. Or maybe just go in a circle, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, red, orange, yellow, green, something like that. I just want to make sure not to put any colors next to each other that is the same, so not red and then red. That's something I'll probably note on here. Okay, so let's draw this one next to the kitty first. How high is that going? Going up to this line. Oh, I ended up covering up the butt. It's probably fine. Bear! Bear's been talking to me today too. He's the one that I was inspired to do these cheek fluffs by. Although the cheek fluffs kind of bother me. This side doesn't look as fluffy. The breeze from outside, it's heavenly. It's just so nice. Okay. I drew this one, but I don't know if I like it as much. I think it's too much mimicking this color, this shape. I'll draw it again. Wow, the breeze is picking up. If you hear sort of a knocking sound or something, that's the blinds knocking against the window frame. So what do I want to do here? I want to make these look different enough. I also want this to start to get smaller because it's receding into the distance. Oh, I think I like that better. See, this is why I like to do it this way, because I always have lots of erasing that I want to do. I don't know if I should include this anymore. I just sort of just leave it. Because then there'll be this like little spot right here. And there is this like spot here too, but it's like here, sure, I'd like to bring attention to the face. But I don't really want to bring attention to its butt. There's nothing that special there. I was feeling so ganky. Now this breeze is just so relaxing. I'm feeling tired. I'll finish off my glass of water. Bears are meowing at me. The fresh smell from outside has attracted him to the window. Oh my gosh, he is doing his best. The windows don't have sills that the cats can stand on. So he's like standing on the very edge of this storage box. In one of those big plastic, tough, like, I don't know how to describe it. He's like barely on the edge because there's more boxes on top of it. Hope he doesn't try to jump out the window or something. It's got a screen on it, so that's not gonna work. Okay, let's continue. So here I've drawn this yarn ball behind the kitty. So I think that I'm going to do that. Should probably draw it even smaller than this one, which is slightly in front of the kitty. And I also like the idea of having the lines point like they're pointing down to the face. So this line, if it were to continue, would cross through the face. Every time the wind picks up, it just makes me feel so good. It makes me feel so relaxed. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 with this circular shape. You know, this line, I don't think it works. Because this makes it look like it's an even bigger yarn ball than these. I wonder if I should just bring it. But these are kind of framing. Well, I guess I could just try it and see. Worst case scenario, I'm going to erase it. Might give more variety to this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 if I have one that's really huge in the front. Let's see how it looks. What do I think? I think I need to look at it. This. I do think that's better. But now I don't like this line. Okay, next. Now since I want the distance to be shown and show that there's just like, it's a whole land of yarn balls. I have like tons and tons and tons. I do have 2 more big ones flanking the kitty so that it's like in a little nest. So I guess I'll start there. Ugh, dropped my freaking pencil. I do that sometimes. I don't know what it is. I'll be like going to grab a pencil and it'll just fly out of my hand. Okay. So these ones are even farther behind. So they need to be even smaller than these 2. But they're not like incredibly far behind because they're just, these are the next closest ones. Oh, Barry. Oh, Barry. Bear wants me to feed him again, but he's gonna have to wait because it always takes so long to feed him. Or if I put him in his room to feed him, then he gets all mad because he doesn't want to be locked in there, but the other kitties can't have his food. He gets to eat as much as he wants because he's sick. He has a chronic condition, and it's really hard for him to keep on weight. And the other kitties are like, oh, I want to eat a lot. I want to eat that much too. So it was like, if we don't lock him up or stand guard, they always just sit there and wait until they can get into his bowl. Okay, I think this one's bugging me because I want it to be higher. Well, now that's Kiba. If you're hearing meowing now, that's Kiba. Yeah, boy. Yeah. What is it? Oh, Soon barks at some people walking by. Soon. Soon. Oh, they have a dog too. Soon. No. Once they get their doggy. He's still boofing. I gotta go get him. Soon. Yeah. Go on. Get. He really likes to go get the dogs walking down the street. He never actually has. He just thinks he would like to. Okay. I don't think I really need to look at my thumbnail sketch anymore. I just need to... You know what? This is still bothering me. This is not... I mean, I know I said that yarn balls aren't perfect circles, but... Whenever I make them, I try to make them nice and even. I mean, like when I make them out of real yarn. I gave away all my knitting stuff because I just never spent enough time on it. I think I made one single complete scarf, and then I like made two and then remade them both again, and I did never finish them either way. So I was like, this is just taking up room. I should get rid of it. Okay, now I just need to feel okay. I'm gonna look at my sketch after. Got like 2 or 3 more rows. They just have to keep getting smaller and smaller. Kiba boy. Oh my gosh. He's like, he wants to go outside from the window. He's like reaching up on it, trying to figure out how to get out. Yeah, we're getting there. So I just want to fill this in. And there's going to be a rainbow of yarn balls. Kiba. Trying to make sure they're getting smaller and smaller as I go farther and farther back. Of course, that means there's going to be more and more to draw because they're taking up less room each. Kind of getting this fish scales kind of look. Almost there. I'm drawing above this line so that I know that what I'm drawing makes sense. So these little spots, I don't really need to draw a circle for that. They're big enough that they can just fill them in. Another thing I think I'll do is I'll only do lines on these yarn balls to show where the actual yarn is. I'm only going to do it on these ones circling this cat, and then I'm going to, maybe I'll just give them sort of ridges and then do the rest in marker with just shadings, so that as they're receding into the distance, as they have that illusion, they also have the illusion of losing definition and getting blurry because they're just so far away and you can't really see the details anymore. Okay, so now it's time to just start filling these in with strands of yarn. This is going to be kind of a boring part, but this is the kind of thing that pays off in the end. Putting this effort into it. I don't like how straight these are coming out though. I want them to have a little curve. Because the yarn ball, it's curved. As each layer of yarn that makes up this yarn ball comes through, it should be farther down. So like this one is on top of everything, so it should be the tallest layer, so it's sticking out beyond this line for the circle. But this one, I'm gonna make it right at the line of the circle. Also, I have something else to work on today, but I can't work on it in public because it's a present. Not because I'm drawing anything bad, not drawing anything naughty. I just don't want to spoil it. I want the person who it's a present for to see it first. So whatever I get done on this kitty drawing during the stream today is all that it's gonna have done today, probably. Kiba boy, what the heck is it? Let's do another big one. Let's imagine it sort of came out the side. I'm sure if I looked at reference pictures of actual yarn balls, I would have much more realistic looking yarn here, but I'm trying to make this in a hurry. And the real point of it is the overall effect, so it's okay if it's not. If it's not like at my maximum power. Ooh, this tedious kind of work just making me sleepy. The relaxing wind sound from outside. Oh, getting so sleepy. so hard to concentrate. This is the hardest part, making an illustration like this for me. It's just so hard to stay focused. Drawing this little tedious part. You know, because the most exciting part is the freaking cat's face. But if you don't have the background with it, you need that complement. I don't know, maybe it's sort of like if you enjoy doing makeup and you put on this fabulous face and it just looks so amazing, and then you just, you know, wear some baggy gray sweatpants and sweatshirt with flip-flops with it. It sort of falls flat. It's not nearly as powerful as when you put effort into everything. I don't know if you can hear that barking. That's not soon. It's the other resident dog, Spud. He's a little yapper. Bark, 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 bark. Gosh. Okay. I can do this. I can do this. This is only the first yarn ball. Oh my gosh. But I think it's turning out good. I think it's looking really yarny. Wish I could transmit how wonderful this breeze feels. Spring, it's the first mild weather of spring, and it's on the very first day. Though it's been a weird weird year so far for weather here. Like, yeah, the winter weather is unpredictable from year to year, but I've lived in this area for like 12 years now, and this was absolutely the weirdest. We had mild, gorgeous spring weather like this in like the third week of January, which I live in the northern hemisphere, so that's weird. It shouldn't be like that. And then it got cold again, and then it got warm again, and then it got cold again, and it was pretty cold the last couple days, and then yesterday and today it's like, oh, I guess the humans expect spring, so here you go, humans, or something. It's nice though, I like it. I really like this time of year with this kind of weather. Even though rain is actually my favorite kind of weather, I still love this too. Okay, dang dude. One down, one down. Instead of yarn, I'm kind of getting the feeling drawing this of the wrappings of a mummy. Yeah, this is what I wanted, more realistic, I guess, look of yarn that's been wrapped over itself to form a ball, rather than a perfect ball and it has bumps as if the yarn was wrapped around a perfect ball to begin with. So we'll go back to this side. Maybe I should have started from the top down, but too late. I say that because my hand is, I don't know if you can see that, it's getting covered in graphite. I guess I could use a piece of paper. There. Use a piece of paper to protect it. Something else I gotta try to make sure to do is also make these strings of yarn get smaller. I mean, I know there's all kinds of different sizes of yarn and stuff, so in theory you could have yarn that looks bigger farther away because it's just that much bigger than this one, but I'm going for an overall effect, not for the realism of the yarn as my main focus. That cat's really gonna stand out, even in the line work, once I get all these yarn balls done. Oh, someone's walking a little Scotty dog outside the window. You gotta remember to erase these extra lines. So that when I go to draw the next thing behind it, I bring the lines all the way down. Oh, there's the yarn ball there. This one and the cat will really stand out from its neighbors. I think I'm hearing a seagull. We don't have a sea here, but we have gulls. But that's unusual. Keep up, boy. What is it? He just comes over here, looks at me, meows, and when I respond, he kind of sits there for a second and walks away. So now we're starting to get really far back. So I need to make sure these strings of yarn get even smaller. One more that I'm actually going to draw in lines of yarn. Then all these ones in the back I'm only going to do, I'll do bumps around the outside, like how these have bumps, but I'll draw the yarn just using color only for those because they're so far away. This back in right there. I'm drawing all these lines. I just want to make it look like all these layers are holding each other in. Wow, Kiba. He's coming over here to meow some more. Maybe he's asking me to let him outside. No, you know you're not an outdoor cat. No outside for you. He walked away after I said that. And he stopped meowing. Oh no, there it goes. So this is the last one that's going to be drawn in detail. And the main reason I wanted to do that was so that this would look like a sort of a nest for the kitty. The ones in the background really start to fade away. They're not as important. So I'm just going to give it a sort of, I'm going to give all these a sort of generic bumpy shape. Not really thinking of the layering or anything for these ones. Just want to get the overall yarn ball effect on these ones. They look like little suns. Ooh, this big gust of wind just now. Wonder if it'll bring in some spring storms. I wonder if that's what all this wind is. Usually when it's this windy around here, there's a storm coming. Even if it's not today, it could be tomorrow or the next day. It's not usually very windy here. Unlike when I lived in the eastern half of the state, and it's just freaking windy all the time, and I hated it. I hated it because I couldn't keep my hair out of my face. It would always get super tangled because the wind is blowing all the time. Ugh! But the trade-off is over there we lived much closer to the mountains, and I really liked that. They were just like, they were right there. I don't have to draw all the way up there. So these look like weird flowers or suns or something, but I'm not going to draw this straight line when I trace this. I'm just going to draw the bumpy line. So it won't look like that. Or at least I hope it won't look like that once I'm done. And my paper's still smeared to pencil. Oh well, that's okay. This is just a sketch. I don't think there's anything else I need to draw with pencil. I need to get a sheet of marker paper. I have about half an hour. I don't know if I'll be able to trace it in that time. Just have to see what happens. And I'm thinking maybe I'll just use a brush pen because it's always faster. It's always faster to use a brush pen. I also need to can see really well through this, but I don't want it to move around. So I need some masking tape to tape this on here, and then I'm going to go find a brush pen so I can do the inking really quickly. So I'll be right back. I walked near the area that the kitties get fed, so it made them all think I was going in there to give them some lunch. They're gonna have to wait until I'm done. So I'm thinking just one tape on each side of this picture should be enough. I used just regular old masking tape, and I put it on my clothing, so on my shirt or my pants, a couple times, so that it, I don't know if you can see, it's all covered with the lint from the clothes. And that's like a good thing because, oh, and a little kitty hair too. It's a good thing because you don't want it to stick too tight, because then it'll either leave residue from the tape or it'll tear the paper. Just gonna do this and flip it over so it's taped on both sides. I'm gonna try my best to get it really squared up with this sheet of sketchbook paper, but it doesn't have to be accurate, like within millimeters or whatever. A little hair. As close as possible, but keeping the paper flat is also important. There. So you can really see through this paper. So the brush pen I chose. Wipe my hand on my pants really hard first. Make sure I don't get graphite on this sheet. Because that's the whole point of doing it this way, so I don't get any graphite on here. I think I got my hand pretty clean. So the brush pen I chose, I think this is going to work really well because it's got a big end, but on the other side it's also got a little tiny end for like small details or stuff in the background. Can't put the cap, you can't put the cap. Oh wait, oh you can. Wow, neat. I never noticed that. So this side goes on the pen, but this side goes on the lid. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. Learn something new every day. So I'm definitely going to start with these yarn balls first because they are the closest thing to the viewer. You know, I better test this. I just realized it'll be bad if I ink this whole thing and it turns out this is not marker proof. Ah, damn it. The problem with doing it like this I tried to put it in here and it doesn't go in. It goes in the other side. Let that dry for a second. Put it on my under my light, which is really hot. Let it dry. Okay, I'm gonna go get my colorless blender and see if this is marker proof. They're still meowing for food. Yeah, this looks pretty solid. And this is dark, but this is because it's wet. So you can see the same. It's just that the paper is wet with the alcohol marker now. I don't see any ink where it like pulled the ink from these lines, so I think I'm safe with this. Yay! This doesn't say anything. I'm pretty sure it doesn't say anything about. It says Pentel. I don't know what that. Big letters. This is the big end. Can't read that one. Sideways. Pen. You read that, pen. Something. This means letter, as in like an alphabet letter. I don't know what these mean. But definitely doesn't say anything about whether it's marker or waterproof. Got a hair on my screen. Working in the same room where all the pets live, because I'm still living in this temporary area. We've got 1 week until we can start moving into our house. Yay! Well, tomorrow it'll be 1 week. But there gets hairs all over all of my art all the time because of that. Alright, back to inking these. So I'm not going to bother about the like guidelines here. I don't need to draw those at this point. I just know that, you know, I'll bring it a little bit farther than this line. And then that way, when I actually go to size it for 6x9 for a frame, this will be cut off and it will be nice and like smooth. And it'll be a nice clean cut. I think the atmosphere of the weather and stuff today, it's kind of giving me nostalgia for summer vacation. When I would just, I mean, I was in the internet for a long time, but there was a couple summers where I just spent the whole summer in my room just downloading MIDI files and chatting to my friends about Gundam Wing. I was just on my computer 24/7. and I just had my fan going in my room, and it was hot, but it was relaxing, and there were no responsibilities. Of course, my family wasn't very happy that I was doing that. Like, my grandma came to visit one summer, and since I was on the computer all the time, I had like a night owl sleep schedule, so they'd always try to wake me up, and I had like only just gone to bed like an hour earlier and everything. But they just didn't understand the wonders of the internet. That was back around the turn of the millennium. I'm really happy that I still in active contact. I still have a lot of my online pals from back then. 2 of them are quite good, like pen pal friends, like with snail mail and stuff. I'm thinking something I could do is do an outline of these. I think I'll wait till I'm completely inked in here though, because I don't want to bring too much attention to the yarn balls. I don't know if maybe that would happen if I did one thick outline to bring this all together. The point of focus is supposed to be the cat. I hope that my piece will stand out. Not just visually, like with it being a bright rainbowy piece, but also stylistically. I considered just entering in the chibis I've recently drawn in the past couple months of my pet cats. Just sort of submit a print where they've been arranged all on the same page and stuff, because that could be a good way to show people what I can do with pet caricatures, pet portraits, or whatever you might want to call it. But knowing that the point of this is to raise money for the cat shelter, that just didn't seem like that fit the theme. Just 3 chibi pet cats, even though I think they look really good. What is this? Did I get a little something on here? What is this? No, 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 no. I don't know what that is. See, so for this kitty, I'm going to do the outline in this heavier brush. Really show off the brush pen's abilities with this. Now I'm going to switch sides. Use the inside for these more detailed parts. There. Oh my gosh, I smeared a little ink. No. Let's try to erase it. The ink doesn't dry very fast on this paper. You need to remember that. I'll do it here too. Darn it. Oh, yeah, it just looks like a little lump. A little lump of kitty. Okay. More yarn. It's time for more yarn. Try to be a little lighter handed with the pen now. It's the same thing with the size of the yarn strings themselves. The inked line should get smaller too. Darn, it's almost lunchtime for me. Well, I'm so close to done. I'm gonna finish this before I call it a day here. Cool, I just got some cool news from my husband. We're gonna have an Amazon bookstore at our favorite shopping location. Sweet. I always buy all my books on Amazon. Although I pre-order most of them because I usually buy manga. Or sometimes I'll buy books by my favorite authors and I'll pre-order those, but neat. I was getting a bunch of messages. I was wondering what the heck was going on. Amazon bookstore. trying not to touch these lines of the cat. Or at least not too much, because I don't want it to get confused about what's cat and what's visually confused. What's cat and what's yarn. Plus I think I can get a little more messy with these lines as they're getting smaller and farther back. They're not 100% solid. I think it's okay. So I can just, oh shoot. Damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it. Put my finger right in the ink. I was trying to hold the page down to see through it. Oh well, there's gonna be a little mess up in there. This is right at the edge. I could even frame over that, except for that little spot. Dang. Even just, it's because I need to hold it down right here. Even just said I need to remember that this paper doesn't dry very fast with the ink. And I went and did it anyway. It's because it's really sticking up over here, so I have to actually press down on the paper. Yeah, I think over all that little ink splotch, you can't even tell it's there. Then once all the colors go on, I think you really won't be able to tell. I'm just letting this ink dry because I don't want to mess it up anymore. And as I was waiting, I thought I should probably go to fairer colors as we go back too. These ones can be really bold because they're really close to the viewer, but as they go back, I'll make them more pale, and that way we'll get the atmospheric perspective. I wonder if maybe I should just switch to a small end. These ones are even farther behind than these. Amazon bookstore. I love reading. Even though I haven't been reading, my library book is gonna be... Oh, Kimba came back over. I've rechecked out this library book twice now, after my initial checkout. It's really good, but... I don't know, stuff has been really... I don't know. So I guess I've been busy. Maybe I'll read a little bit after this. This is a really awesome book. It's called The Witches. And it's written kind of like a story, but it's 100% based on actual historical records. Like it's not historical fiction. It's a history book. But it's written chronologically, and the characters are the real people, and they're just described based on either their writings in journals or how other people talked about them, their contemporaries talked about them and stuff. And it's called The Witches. It's about the Salem witch trials. It's absolutely fascinating. It's a super depressing book, though. It's like, what a horrible, horrible time to live for pretty much anyone, unless you were super rich. And also, you had to be white to be super rich. And you had to be male, too. It was like anybody else. What an awful way to live. It's no wonder everybody turned on each other and whatnot. It's just so interesting to read. I've never actually watched any movies or TV shows or documentaries about it. You know, I just know what you learn in school. People killed a bunch of witches here, and by here I mean in America, though it wasn't America yet. This was the 1600s, the late 1600s, so still colonies back then. And it's like, apparently based on the foreword or the introduction to this book, a lot of media or historians have tried to ascribe what happened, the extreme nature of what happened. They try to ascribe it to just one single thing. But it's clear reading this book that it's just that it was like the perfect storm. It was all this stuff coming together, and like this thing was happening, but this thing was also happening, and they were just, it all built up off of each other and everything. It's just so depressing, because it's like a lot of these people, okay, so the trials weren't even fair, but a lot of them didn't even get to stand trial. They just died in jail, because there was no guilty until proven innocent. There was no what is it, where you have to treat people well. What is that called? It's like that didn't exist. If you were accused, you were thrown in jail. And that was it. All you needed was an accusation to get someone thrown in jail. It didn't matter. They were like old 7-year-old great-grandmothers thrown in jail. And this is not nice, like jail where you get 3 square meals a day. It was like rancid, fetid, just a horrific place, and people died because of how poor the conditions were. Oh yeah, I think that's gonna work out good. Or maybe I'll just do a few lines on these ones that are closer, and the ones that are farther away I'll still keep just that outline. This author that I'm reading right now has also written a book that was like a huge bestseller or something, I guess. I'd never heard of it before, but I feel like that's the next one I want to read. It's called Cleopatra, and I would love to learn more about her from the perspective of this writer. The way this writer does her research is brilliant. It reminds me a lot, actually, of Bill Bryson, which is my favorite nonfiction writer. It's just so well researched, but it's not just well researched, it's easy to read, it's presented well. There, yeah, just get the sort of an echo of yarn here, but no really big details. because they're getting farther and farther away. There. I'm not done with this. Oh, darn it. Did I get more ink on here? Ooh. That's on the white cat part. Damn. So bad at remembering this paper. It's terrible with dry time. It takes forever. Oh, hopefully it won't be noticeable once I do the marker and stuff. These aren't specifically erasable ink, but erasers still can help, especially if you catch it soon enough. I don't know when I did this though. Oh fuck. Oops. It's supposed to be adult. This is supposed to be, family friendly. But I smeared some freaking ink. I thought it would be dry by now. I did this ages ago. Oh well. Good thing I wasn't planning on doing the coloring today, because this is taking so long to dry. It definitely needs to dry overnight. I'm just trying to think. Just trying to look at it and... smears, no. Oh, that one came away nicely. Yay. Just want to consider whether I should do that singular outline that I mentioned earlier. I think it's probably okay without it. Because if I do it, it'll bring these lines up into the face of the cat. They're already so close, I don't want to do that. So I'll just let the marker do the rest. But I will sign it today. May as well sign it right now. Where shall I sign it though? Probably on one of the yarn balls. Maybe over in this corner. May as well sign it now, and then the ink will be all dry tomorrow, and I don't have to worry about signing it tomorrow. Okay. Well, that's it for today. Today is only Wednesday, so tomorrow I will continue working on this. I need to get it all colored so that it will be ready to go by Friday. And then Friday I can't work on it anyway, because Friday is Chibi Friday. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching.